Welcome back to Shelly's Shop. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit more in-depth walk around of the KMax, let you know what we have done and what we're planning on doing. It's not going to be laid out from start to finish or everything that needs to be done because there's still a lot I don't know I'm going to have to do, but I'm going to try to lay out what I think I'm going to do and what we have already done. I've had some interest in the KMax and what we have done and what we plan to do. So I'm going to get right on that. Here's the KMax. Here's the Duramax that we got swapped into it. This is an LLY out of a 2004.5. This is the factory radiator we got stuffed into it. And currently we're trying to work on charge piping, trying to find a fabricator that can weld up on the intercooler piping. The passenger side looks like it's going to fit really nicely. And then the driver's side is where we're having a lot of our issues. Factory location will bring it from here straight into the brake master cylinder, which we can't have. So I'm thinking we're going to bring it out and around and route it down to where it needs to come out somewhere in here, and that'll be the location. Some of the issues that we found were the engine. The Duramax is about a couple inches taller than a big block Chev, which this truck would accept from the factory. So in order to accommodate it, we had to put a 2-inch body lift in, and we have the engine sitting in the frame rails as low as it can. So that's what forced us to put the 2-inch body lift in, which I didn't really want to do. So that's just one of the problems that we've been having. Some other accommodations we had to make was we had to modify the steering link to a newer style. I don't know how to get a good shot of that. To a 71 and up joint for the steering arm. So 67 would have more of a slip style instead of that. We're keeping the factory hydro boost. I did have to build a custom bracket. I used the old one off of the Duramax as a template. There's a big nut right behind here, and it threads off. Yeah, we're trying to use as much as the Duramax as possible just to keep it simple for breakdowns. The intercooler, we ended up going with this unit here. It's a big one. Don't know a lot about how the intercooler will affect the turbo, but I'm sure from what I do know, this will create lag in the spool up, which is something that I'm gonna have to deal with. It might not stay in there, but we will be mounting this. Probably the next thing we'll do to the truck is mount this when we get it back into the shop. Back to the engine bay. Rad's fully mounted. I took some plate up in here, welded it on, and then used the factory mounts for the rad. And down there I'm using some factory to the 67 cradles to hold the bottom so it doesn't move around. The shroud lined up well. This is kind of where we're at with it. I need to build some brackets to hold this on the front. I shaved the top mountain lip off, and the plan is to build some a bracket that'll just kind of come out, a bracket that will come out from here and grab onto the factory mountain just to secure it with a little bit of tension. I'm going to put some kind of thicker foam in there just to give it a little bit of bumper room. But with that modification, which was, I was halfway through it and life got in the way, the fan does spin without hitting anything. This is stuff for the charge piping. Kind of got goosing around with it. Now we are not gonna have AC in this truck, so I had to get an AC delete kit, which just replaces the AC pump. Yeah, so on the motor, these are PPE race exhaust manifolds, so they call them. And I changed out the turbo mouthpiece, and that's one of the biggest problems with the LLY from what I've read, is that it's too small and creates too much heat. Some kind of science, and everyone recommends switching it out. Since I was already kind of going into the engine, we switched out the Y bridge down in here and got a brand new two-piece style Y bridge. So we switched that out because it was right full of carbon, and it's switched out with a PPE style. And then when this closes, when the hood closes, there is basically no, maybe half an inch at most between the hood and here. I put Play-Doh on there and it was very, very thin. I will end up wrapping this up nicer. Just trying to get everything locked up right now. So this is the other side of the charge piping, and it is going to come out down into here, and I'll put a hole down in here in a spot for it to come out. I'm probably going to end up cutting a fair bit of the rad support out, because this is where the intercooler is going to sit. It sits in there almost perfectly like it was made to. And I'll have it mounted so it'll probably have a bracket coming up to here and have it so it bolts on down to here somehow. Haven't really gotten there yet, but that's the next big step. I'm hoping the rad cooler lines, sorry, not rad, transmission cooler lines will go to their factory locations. Yeah, we got new inner fenders that we put a new rad support in, because the Deutz air-cooled engine that was in this truck when we got it, it was cut along here on both sides, and it had a bracket so it could be quickly moved out, and the engine sat really far forward because it was an inline 6 diesel. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I think that's about all I can think of off the top of my head. Oh wait, sorry. I got new downpipe and uppipe. I've EGR deleted this engine. This is all common stuff for Duramaxes. And so far the biggest hang up with installing it is the hot side charge pipe. Yeah, so down to the suspension. This in the front, that front diff way to switch out to get a driver side drop. It's a Dana 60 Kingpin out of a 78 F250. Steering geometry still a little messed up. In 1967, they didn't come with power steering on anything. So that power steering box is off a 1985 K20. And the steering arms are still not correct. It only turns really well one way, but all the hydraulic lines, power steering lines are all hooked up. And yeah, it was a lot of thinking. I still need to hook up the shocks. They're just kind of loosely sitting in there. And we got new leaf springs all redid. So we put some helper springs in, because this engine and transmission package weighs about 1,500 pounds. That's about 750 pounds more than a big block Chev would have weighed. Bring you down here, give you a good look. I built a custom made engine cross member. I have one more piece to build, but I didn't want to get too into it in case I had to rip it out and change it. And that's the factory one for the small block or big block Chev. Wouldn't allow enough room for the pan, and because the Duramax sump is here and it would be in the way. And on the cross members for the factory Duramax, it's further ahead. And even a square body one wouldn't work. Yeah, got new bushings. Yeah, just had to go through it. The back still needs to be done. Okay, going back up top now. A lot of little things to make everything happy had to be done to get to this stage. Side shot of the passenger side. Looked like a whiskey dent down there. I tried to pump it out with a basketball in the door and it didn't really work in my favor. But yeah. Into the interior. When we picked this truck up, it had a single seat out of a grain truck, I bet, because it was supposed to have air ride and it would just bottom out. But it worked. We got tilt column in here with cruise out of a van. So when it's all done, we should have cruise control and tilt, because my big legs, I can't get underneath a straight column. I prefer to have tilt so I can scooch in and out with ease. These doors are cool strictly because they're the right color. they're in really good shape, other than the cutouts on both sides and the dent on the passenger side. Like, somebody went through this truck and really had it pimped out. Yeah, this is not factory, that's not factory. Windshield surprisingly not cracked. Along here isn't rusty. So a little bit of crust right here, but that's it. Down in the kicker panels is a little rot, but it's still, the rest of the floor is all there. Yeah, this has not been cut. Don't know the condition of the heater controls. I started putting in a new wiring harness. And move some stuff out of the way here real quick. This is the transfer case. We ended up switching out the T case that came with the motor in favor. It was a 263 HDX. This one is the main, that was electronics shift. This one is a 261 HDX, which is a manual. It's all hooked up. Next step for that is to take the factory doghouse, cut out a hole, and build a boot for it. We have a brand new rubber mat to go in here for four-wheel drive. The seat here is out of a 67 that we had as a C60, and I like it. I like this color a lot. Like, this hat was in it when we got it. It was right full of all kinds of cool knickknacks. Gun rack was here. One was draped. That one was draped down and just kind of swinging, so I put a new screw in. Yeah, we're excited about getting this one done. I got the throttle pedal all hooked up. This is out of the Duramax. Got full motion with it. I built a bracket and then bolted it the factory way, welded in some bolts. So now the nuts, certs are just screwed on, so it'd be easy to maintenance. The throttle pedal, pardon me, not throttle pedal, the brake pedal, I did modify up in here. I don't know if I can get a good view of that. But I didn't realize that I had forgotten, pardon me, I'd forgotten that when the e-brake handle's on, there's a rubber piece here and it pushes this down to start. So this won't go on because it's already putting pressure on the brake master cylinder. So it's something I have to go back and change up. Honestly, the dash is pretty much wired except for a few randoms. I have to figure out what dash I'm gonna run because it is electronics. It is electronic transmission, and it will not take an analog speedo. So that's always a hang up when you do a swap like this. So I'm probably gonna end up buying a Dakota Digital dash, which can be very expensive because I like everything to look factory. The radio did light up, but the antenna wasn't connected, so I had my fingers crossed that the antenna works. Like, that's cool. It's got the original sticker on it to orientate the four-wheel drive. This is a factory K20 from 1967. So the back, as I said in another video, is an HO52. They're only made them in, they only put them in these trucks from, like, I think it was from the mid 60s up to 68 when they switched them out. They're dinosaurs, they don't have parts for them, but when they work, they're indestructible. I don't think the sway bar's factory, but I like to retain it because it'll help with handling, go a long way with handling. The box is not factory to 67, as you can tell, and it's rotten, like, it's bad. It's pretty rotten. It's got GMC tailgate on it. The wood floor is in reasonable condition. It's right full of parts right now. If not, I'd be showing you more about the box floor. It's full of my exhaust and fuel tanks and all the knickknacks. This is the topper off of my 67 C10 LS swapped truck that we popped off just before bringing it to Ontario. Like, we got our drive shafts and everything stuffed in here. Got the meters off of a C30, which I really like. There's tons of little things. Now, the box, I'm not happy with it. The box is really rough on both sides. But, as fate would have it, there I am doing my daily scroll on Kijiji. What do I come across? This guy right here. Mind the other projects here. Come across this bad boy. Now this one hasn't been really screwed with. I've used it a little bit as a dump trailer. It is a 67. These are not factory lights. These are just tack-ons off a trailer. It's cool because it's got a Chev tailgate. The box floor is hammered out on it. I've been hauling scrap with it. And both sides are relatively straight. So the plan with this is, there was a repair here. Because this is not a factory color, but the truck and the trailer have been painted. But this is within, I believe, to be one shade of each other. Eventually I'll wipe this down and see how close of a match it is. My hope is I'll take this box, put it on the KMax, and take the KMax and put it on this trailer, and then everyone will be happy. I'll have a nicer box for my truck. I'd like to switch this out to a steel floor. Yeah. So we're back over at the KMax. I do have to finish installing the 2-inch body lift on this truck. For the box side, but I was going to wait until I was about to switch the boxes around. That just makes the most sense to me. When we test fit the new tires for the KMax, it was rubbing in here. There's only about an inch clearance for these tires, so we're going to have to either put wheel spacers on the back, or the Dana 60 that we're going to switch out this HO52 with. We'll hopefully move it out. This is a temporary thing. It was on there mostly just for storage. And I have a headache rack for it that I really like. Wife's not a big fan of them, but I like them. It's a pretty cool looking truck. As a more in-depth look at it, other things that we have done is fuel lines haven't been hard connected. We have a lift pump, I forgot to mention. We installed a lift pump. It's a Air Dog lift pump. It's all plumbed in. What else did we do? Oh yeah, I retained the factory Duramax T-case transmission cross member. I just added in some, I customized the bracket here to drop it down. Again, trying to keep the engine as low as possible. If you look over here, you can see that there really isn't that much clearance. That's about ½ inch, and I might shave out some of that fin. Yeah. Now, because we couldn't go down too low, if not the whole driveline would be hanging down too low. So I did have to take out some of this engine, this body, frame brace, and I built, had to build this bracket. Not my best work. Yeah, but that gives enough room for the drive shaft to go through. Frame is solid on this truck. I've been dreaming of ways to brace it a little bit more to take the power of the D-Max, but we'll figure out as we go. Got brand new body mounts in here. Yeah. And right there, I know that looks funny, but it wasn't my intent. This is a fuel tank, a saddle tank for both sides. We'll have it. And I'll have this cross plumbed over, going across. Probably with a big 3/4 inch pipe running along here, all the way down. If you look right there, there's another saddle tank that stays tucked up behind the wheel well, so it's only this wide. I've had them for years. I was going to use them on my 67 LS swap, but I got to get them cleaned, and I've been getting ridiculous pricing on them getting cleaned. Yeah. The fuel line's going up to the tank. Slow process, but no one's done this before that I know of. And I've tried to find other people that have done the same swap. Most people take this body and put it on the Duramax frame. And I realized that would probably be the smarter thing to go, but that's not a Duramax swap. That's a body swapping onto a Duramax. What I feel like I'm doing here is a true engine swap. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for today. I really hope you all enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And remember, if you ain't first, you're last.